at the end of the day, I could make so much more money just saying yes to all the partnership deals.
Right now, it seems that the hormone component is like garnering the vast majority of the attention.
Hormones being imbalanced is the result of other things. Hormones are not the problem, they're responding to the problem. So what is the problem? A lot of the clients that I connect with have been put on high dose testosterone therapies, like women. They're taking all these hormones, the doctors aren't retesting their hormones. They're saying that testing is irrelevant. We just go off of how the patient feels. So a lot of these women who are already estrogen dominant, their liver is blocked, they're not detoxifying, their gut is a mess. So their glucuronidase enzymes are reactivating the estrogen, and it's a mess.
Boom, we are live. Leanne, how you doing?
I am so good. Thanks for having me. This is great.
Hey, and I apologize because you had a trip you had to reschedule, and then I had something that I had to reschedule from. So we finally made it happen. That's the main thing.
This has been months in the making, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because the last time I had you on the podcast, I guess, which would have been the first time I had you on the podcast, was back when it had to have been like 5-6 years ago. It's been a long time.
I feel like you're right. And I think you've been on my show a couple of times. I don't even know. I should have looked.
It's been a while. But it's interesting because the last time you were on my show, I remember you were about to go set sail or something like that. You had converted a sailboat into totally livable, and you were about to do that. And that was when you were one of the OGs in the keto space. And you were again, being the OG, you had a massive audience. And I was just starting to put out content. So I had you on the show, and lots changed since then. Lots of time.
So much has changed. We ended up getting into a huge accident with that sailboat. It wasn't our fault. Somebody hit us. And then we sold that boat. We bought another boat, and we actually just closed on our boat. We are no longer boaters today. Today is the day I no longer own a boat. So yeah.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's bittersweet. We had such a great 5 years on that motorboat, and it was incredible. Some of the best cruising and experiences that I've ever had in my entire life have been on that boat. But my husband became a pilot, and he's rarely around, and it was way too much for me to manage on my own. And so I am relieved, but I'm also sad because it's the closing of a wonderful chapter that was challenging and fulfilling and stretched us. And so, yeah, it's bittersweet.
So I'm going to go off on this tangent because it's relevant. So you were on a sailboat, and then somebody crashed into you, and then you got a motorboat.
Yeah. We were fully provisioned and ready to go to Panama the next morning. And we had just replaced our sails and redone all our rigging and everything. The boat was fully stocked with food, and a family had just picked up their smaller sailboat. It was like a 30-foot sailboat. Ours was a catamaran, and they were backing up into a slip, and they say that the engine did something weird, and they smashed into us at the dock and then rolled across our entire hull. And we had a 3-foot by 2-foot hole at the waterline of our boat. And my husband, being the superhero he is, without even thinking, he ripped off a cabinet in our kitchen, jumps in the water with his power drill, and just drills our cabinet into the boat to stop water from coming in. He was I'm where are you going with the cabinet? So yeah, we sold that boat, and after we fixed it and all the things, and got a power boat, and no regrets at all. That was the best choice for us.
So it's interesting. I don't know where I was at with sailing when we talked about that. I remember being excited for you because I've been sailing. My brother and I have a small 33-foot Hunter. My folks have a larger sailboat, and they purchased about 2 years ago a 44-foot ocean sailboat for the blue water, and they are literally setting sail this week. They're going to sail around the entire world. They're going to take it out for the first few months this year to make sure it's all good on the open water, and then they're going to come back for hurricane season, and then they're going to go back out, and they're going to sail around the whole world for 3 or 4 years in their 44-foot boat. But they're literally setting sail this week. So
they're going to have the best time. They're doing a shakedown cruise, a very wise idea. I'm looking forward to the day where we get to go back on the ocean because it will either make or break a marriage.
Mhm.
Like having to deal with the situations like on the water, things happen. And oh, I'm so excited for your parents. Now's the time. Just get it done. It
Yeah.
will, oh, that's so exciting.
I'm proud of them. I mean, they retired 2 years ago, I think, and they
Okay.
just decided to buy the boat, and they've been like working on it nonstop, day in, day out, getting it all ready to go.
They are
They've got
so much work.
ready. Yeah, so much work, but it's cool because they're going to be, letting us know where they're at, and then we're going to just fly out and meet them at various ports. Like I'm going to meet them in South Africa, and I just want to like see everything, with them as they're docking. So it's going to be awesome.
We only had two people in 7 years that we were sailing. Only two people came to visit. And my sister was the one who visited the most. But I don't know. If I have a friend, we have a couple friends who have boats. And already I'm like, if you need a deckhand, like I will fly anywhere and I will help you. I would be glad to. I don't understand why people didn't want to come visit. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, time stands still on the water. Like it's a trippy thing. Like it's I don't know, like you just recognize what's important in life when you're out there.
It's so true. And how to fix things on the fly and how to work together as a team. I think that was one of my most favorite things is like how well my husband and I work together when we are hit with severe situations. So, and that just grows you as a couple so much. Well, either you get a divorce or you get stronger, truly. And I think that was my favorite part is just knowing that whatever happens, we have each other and together we can accomplish some crazy stuff. So that was my favorite part.
No, it's awesome. I'm happy for you. But what is the next chapter going to be? If you're selling the boat today, you said.
Yeah.
What's the next thing on the itinerary?
Well, my husband became a pilot and we miraculously, truly, God has just been so good to us. He decided that he wanted to take a little bit of pressure off me from working and all the things. And so he decided to become a pilot and pretty much fresh out of school, he got a really great opportunity. And now he's flying Gulfstream jets. He's certified on a Gulfstream 4, which is unheard of ever that you would become a pilot and then start flying a Gulfstream. And so he's doing that and he's gone a lot. Like I see him every 20 days or so. And so I've been traveling on my own. I went to Italy and did a whole bunch of stuff there. I did Spain and Portugal. I've gone to Madeira and I just got back from Patagonia and I went for a month. And so I'm just traveling on my own and having fun doing it. And I get to see my husband when he comes home. So that's kind of the adventure side of it.
No, that's awesome. Did he always want to fly?
Nope.
This is just totally random.
So he's a zeros and ones kind of guy. He was like, how can I make the most money as quickly as possible and enjoy doing it? And he was like, a pilot. And so that's what he did.
This is gonna be like people, like businessmen and like famous people that are using Gulfstreams that are just going to charter him to fly wherever they need to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he does charter and he really, really enjoys the charter side of things because he still gets to have fun flying and he's really good at it. And I don't think I say that just as his wife because all our friends were like, yeah, Kevin the pilot. Yeah, he's always been a pilot. I'm like, no, this is a new thing. Like he's made for this. It's so fun to watch him just learn a new skill in his mid 40s and just commit to it and take on a new identity. So it's just been really fun to watch as his partner too.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So for you traveling, when did you start traveling? When did you decide, okay, I need to start traveling?
I mean, it really started in 2012. I was in a real not great place physically. And at the time I wasn't a Christian and I really wanted to go to India. And that was my first like solo trip by myself traveling. And when I got back from that India trip, my husband and I decided to live across the country. And so we started traveling together. But the solo thing really started in the last couple of years, traveling back and forth to my home in Canada. Just having to see my family and friends and all that. And then I thought, well, I could go farther than that. So Italy was the first kind of like big trip I had taken in a long time. And every time every time I get to the airport, I'm like, what am I doing? I'm traveling alone. This is terrifying. No, I'd rather just stay at home. But every time I get back, I'm like, I'm so glad I did that. And each time it gets a little bit easier to do it alone.
What's been the most memorable trip thus far in a positive way?
Oh my gosh, each of them are so unique and wonderful, but I would have to say the most memorable was probably the Azores. This is an island chain in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and it is so incredibly special. There's very few people in many of the islands, and so I did a lot of hiking, and the hiking was like having an entire island to myself. I would hike for an entire day and see nobody, and I just got so much solo time. And when you're physically pushing yourself that much by yourself, you have to go to a special place because there's nobody pushing you. And so I got to spend a lot of time in prayer, and I would have to say that was probably the most special time that I've had and the most memorable of those multiple hikes in nature with the Lord by myself, pushing through things and accomplishing physical goals that I couldn't have done without God. So I would have to say that's probably the most memorable.
Nice. I want to just deconstruct how you've made all this intertwine and work within your life. Because a lot of people in the business content creation space, like it's just a grind. You listen to Gary Vaynerchuk and it's nonstop. And you found a way to kind of intertwine the things that you're passionate about, traveling, hiking, seeing the world, having these experiences, and just weave that into what you're doing. So like, did you start creating content and coaching as a means to fund those adventures? Or like, how did that all come to be?
It was really random. I think that if I stayed home and we never would have, bought the boat and traveled the Bahamas and done all that stuff, I'm sure that my business would be bigger and better and bolder and all the things. And that was definitely the trajectory, when you mentioned like one of the biggest names in the keto space and things were big and I had a team and I was on tour. And there was a moment, actually, we were living in our RV. So we were already traveling. We were already, pushing forward with that, but it was very much structured and the business always comes first. So we could travel in the RV and all those things. But if I need to do a call, if I need to do podcast interviews, there's no wiggle room on that. And I actually had this random seizure. Like I woke up at 3:00 in the morning and I had a seizure. And pretty much immediately I was like, okay, I'm pushing too hard. My priorities are totally wacky. And that's when my husband and I decided to buy the boat. And our team was rather large at that point. We no longer have a team working on Healthful Pursuit. It's just me, and my husband until he became a pilot. And that was really my body telling me that I was pushing too hard. And I don't want the grind. Like I want to enjoy my life. I want to enjoy every moment. And not have any, oh, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have, done this earlier. Many of, watching my parents age and how much work they put into it, and they're incredible parents. And watching parents age, having not fulfilled certain dreams, definitely touches me in a way of just, I don't want to wait until I'm retired. I don't want to wait until there's X amount of money in the bank account. I just want to do those things now. And so when I had that seizure, it just became, okay, so we go to the Bahamas and we figure out internet, and maybe I don't make X amount of dollars this year. It's maybe half that, but I got to live in the Bahamas for 7 years. Like, yeah. I know there's 755 islands in the Bahamas, and there were months where I would just jump off our boat, swim to the beach, hang out, make a beach fire, kill a fish, eat the fish in the fire, and swim back to the boat. Like, you can't tell me that building a 7-figure business brings you more satisfaction. That ain't it for me. So it was very much having to make a decision, and I'm no longer the biggest name. I no longer have hundreds of thousands of followers, but I have experiences that far outweigh that for me. So it's really a priority thing, I think.
I forget I forget, I think it's like a Chinese proverb or something like that. You've probably heard of it, but like this guy's out fishing, and I'm going to totally botch this, but this guy's out fishing, and this successful businessman walks up to him, he sees him bringing this massive catch for the day, and he's like, "Oh man, you should totally, make this into a business. You should hire a team. You should get like more infrastructure, invest in, third-party angel investors that can come and help you scale this." And the fisherman, who's like this local guy at some island, he's like, "Yeah, but then what would I do once I reach all that success?" And he's like, "Oh man, you could like retire, move off to this island, and like just fish and enjoy siesta with your wife every day." And the guy's like, "That's what I'm doing right now anyways,
Yeah.
So I totally get that. Like there's this, and I struggle with this all the time. Like I'm constantly trying to reflect on my life and the trajectory it's headed on. And I'm trying to make sure, especially with having kids, like having, one kid on now and then another one on the way. It's like, you got to really prioritize what matters. And I don't ever want the business and what I'm working and building to like be a detriment to those memories, So like, and I don't know what the right answer is. Like, I don't know if there's a right or wrong way to do it, but I think simply being aware of it is the key. And so many people just go through life and they've got their blinders on. They don't even pause to think about how far they've come, where they started, where they're going, what matters, what actually makes them happy. And the fact that you're able to travel and do all these things and make all these memories and be totally at peace with the fact that you're not having as many followers or as many whatever as society deems success, like that's huge right there.
Yeah, I think too, it's like, where is your heart? Like I often ask myself, where's my heart right now? Like is it in the desire and pursuit of success and money? And like, that's not fulfilling. I will just want more and more and more because it's so dissatisfying, because you just crave more of it. And I've been there, and it doesn't land well. So a question I often ask myself is, where's my heart in this? And no, my heart, like, it's been so cool to see this progression of traveling more. And now I work more one-on-one with clients because that works really good with the schedule. And so then I get to help people individually, which I didn't get to do when it was big programs. And, oh my gosh, when we launched one of our original programs, we had like a 6-figure launch day followed by 4 more 6-figure launch days. And we were reaching out to so many people, and it was so exciting. But I remember feeling so dissatisfied and empty at the end of the day. And I really think that needs to drive you, of just, when I go to bed, I want to feel like I helped people and I accomplished things. I was there to support my husband, like, just like you said, the simple things of your family. And though that is far better than all the other stuff, in my opinion.
No, 100%. Were you doing the RV traveling when you started the business, or did the business come first?
We started the business in 2008. So it was just a way for me to, like, Healthful Pursuit, my website, started in 2008 when I graduated nutrition school. And it was a resource that I sent to my clients. I would publish a recipe every week and then send it to clients in addition to their meal plan. So that kind of ran for like 4 years that way. And then the blog, other people started going to the blog, and then it became a bigger thing over time. And so the business started before like anything. I mean, I was a baby at that point.
And you were primarily focused on ketogenic nutrition at that point?
In 2008, I was focused on vegan nutrition. I found the ketogenic diet in 2013 because I had amenorrhea, which is a lack of period. I had gone off birth control in 2008, and I just never got my period back. And I did a whole bunch of research, and that's how I found the ketogenic diet. So I followed keto for 2013 to 2014. And within the 9 months that I followed it, I got my period back. So then I started talking about the fact that we could, I was researching and posting articles. And I mean, there was so much content at that point that I was posting about hormone regulation using a ketogenic diet. And that's kind of, I guess, how I became the voice for women in keto, because I was just amazed that I got my period back when all the doctors were like, you're never going to get your period back. Like, you're going to need outside help. You're going to need to go on hormones. And I did none of that.
Yeah. And then you kind of became like one of the first movers and shakers in the metabolic flexibility realm, right?
Yeah, exactly. So as I was researching keto, I was finding I was so blessed to have so many women that were following me that I set up groups of 1,500 or so, and I would run groups for 4 to 6 weeks, and we would trial out a ketogenic diet, a modified ketogenic diet. We would use carb cycling, and we would transition the deep state keto individuals over to a metabolic flexibility plan over the course of 4 to 6 weeks. And we saw the most shifts in individuals who started with a keto plan for like 2 to 4 weeks and then adapted into a carb up plan where we were incorporating carbs around movement or even in the evening to help them with their sleep if they had like dysregulation of hormones and those sorts of things. And so I remember being booed off. I can't remember what stage it was, like KetoCon or something, because I was talking about using carbs on a ketogenic diet. Like I was truly the first person talking about this, and people were so angry with me. And it's so fun to see now when people are talking about carb ups and, carb timing and metabolic flexibility on keto. It's like, yeah, like, yes, exactly. I was probably the first, maybe one of the first to be talking about this. And I'm so glad that I got that opportunity to go from a whole foods perspective. That was really important to me. Like, let's not pound the Slim Jims and Diet Coke. Let's look at beyond if it fits your macros, how is this going to benefit your body long term? So that was really important to me. And I'm glad that I got my part of the pie talking about whole foods incorporation within the ketogenic diet and metabolic flexibility space.
Yeah, it's cool because you and I both were putting out content, in the keto low carb space before it was popular. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't any alternative. Like if you were eating a ketogenic diet, you were eating whole foods by default.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that made things so much easier, it seems. I feel like there's so much noise out there now.
Oh, there's the products and the things. And I go to Costco and I'm like, the labels say keto. And I'm like, that ain't it. That is not it.
Yeah. And I own a keto product, and I'm still the first to tell people, hey, look, make sure the majority of your calories come from good whole food sources. Like there's just so much nuance out there, and people overcomplicate things, and it's frustrating because there's a lot of these charlatans that just prey on the ignorance of the average consumer. And it's like, I mean, if you do a classic 80-20 analysis of how to benefit the most and just, capture that low-hanging fruit, it's really just boiling down to eat real quality foods.
Yeah. Yep. Even I even can forget that sometimes, like during the endurance training program that I just completed to hike a bazillion miles in Patagonia. I mean, the whole foods went out the window and I did not feel good. But if you're eating that much and you need that many carbohydrates, and I chose to fuel with carbohydrates for it, I was not eating whole foods. Like I came back with diabetes basically. So yeah, we can forget those things, even us. But to go back to the charlatan piece, it's so unfortunate to see what's out there. And as a practitioner and professionals, like, at the end of the day, I could make so much more money just saying yes to all the partnership deals and, selling all these sorts of things. It's unfortunate to see the space because you and I mean, partnerships were not as they are today. Mm-hmm. And influencing, like there were no influencers. There were professionals that had, accounts where we shared professional information from our education that we received, but now it's not that. And it's so hard to protect clients from that and to educate them in ways that they can comprehend, because we're just being inundated by trash, unfortunately. Yeah. So, yeah.
So where are you at with things like what is the underlying messaging that you're putting out there, and where do you see things going forward?
Yeah. So, my underlying message now, I've healed from a whole bunch. And instead of getting into the nitty gritty, I really just share content about my life, my body, what I'm able to do, the fact that I'm lifting, the fact that I'm traveling. I say I've healed myself, and I would love to help you figure out what that thing is. Like, what is your goal and what's stopping you from hitting that goal? A lot of the work that I do now is mitochondrial regulation and mold illness, parasites, hormone regulation, a lot of macro work, and just understanding, are we eating right for our bodies and for our goals? And are there other things other than the eating part that are stopping us from achieving those goals? And so, to get back to that conversation we had about, pushing and strategizing, I don't do any of that anymore. Like, I could care less, honestly. Like, I just want to put myself out there and share what's happening in my life. And I attract the perfect client that already understands what I do, already understands my approach, wants to come beside me as we hold hands and walk together with the 20 plus years of experience I have in nutrition and functional wellness, and blood work chemistry. And so that's really the strategy that I use now. Where I see things going in the health space, I haven't thought about this in a while.
Right now, it seems that the hormone component is like garnering the vast majority of the attention. Like, I get so many people pitching podcast guests that are hormone specialists.
Yeah, you're right.
And
the
it's
hormone
like,
stuff.
I mean, there's like a hormone clinic popping up on every street corner for, male and female hormone optimization. I feel like that's kind of like the Wild West right now, it seems.
Yeah, I would agree with you, because a lot of the times I onboard clients and they're like, I want to fix my hormones. And I'm like, hormones are hormones being imbalanced is the result of other things. So we need to, I agree with you. Your hormones are a mess, but hormones are not the problem. They're responding to the problem. So what is the problem? I agree with you on the hormone thing. A lot of the clients that I connect with have been put on high dose testosterone therapies, like women on testosterone pellets. And this frustrates me to no end, because they're taking all these hormones. The doctors aren't retesting their hormones. They're saying that testing is irrelevant. We just go off of how the patient feels. And testosterone will convert into estrogen via the aromatase enzyme. So a lot of these women who are already estrogen dominant are coming to me with testosterone pellets that are converting into more estrogen. Their liver is blocked. They're not detoxifying. Their gut is a mess. So their glucuronidase enzymes are reactivating the estrogen, and it's a mess. So I would agree with you. I hope that we divert away from the hormone piece, because what I also see online is a lot of encouragement of women eating enough and lifting heavy. And I love this vibe. So I'm hoping that we can focus more on that aspect of, let's make sure we're eating enough. Let's make sure we're lifting as heavy as possible safely. And just avoid the HRT situation completely. But there are women that are really struggling with their hormones. But the big thing is the hormones are not the problem. The hormones are responding to the problem. And I think that's where that message needs to be corrected.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I feel like a lot of, I had a client onboarding call the other day, and she was recently put on HRT from her doctor before finding me. And I asked her, what your labs were, how often is the doctor checking? And the doctor maybe checks once a year.
No.
And I'm like, they're totally shooting in the dark here. You're looking at all the wrong problems first, and you're going about it the totally, bass-backwards way. And it's not her fault, but it's
No.
there's just not the right messaging out there.
No. And for those listening, if you are incorporating a new hormone, say you get put on thyroid or you get put on estrogen or progesterone, ideally we should be testing in 6 to 8 weeks. If you've just been put on this, 6 to 8 weeks, see how it's going, see how your body's doing, check in on symptoms, blood work, other things. And then after that initial, it should be maximum 3 months ongoing. While you're on hormones, you test every 3 months, because I've seen some crazy stuff. I would agree with you. If you're going to do it, you need to test it. And even peptides. I played around with sermorelin peptide, which is amazing. It makes your growth hormone skyrocket. And I saw so many good results. But then I tested my IGF-1 and it was super, super high, to the point where I had to stop. Even though I felt amazing, that's not a good idea. So even with the peptide therapies that are coming out, and I think that they're really great, but we need to be responsible. And unfortunately, the responsible part is lacking, like you said.
Yeah, 100%. I do think there's a greater awareness towards, like eating more reverse dieting. I've been harping on reverse dieting for years, and I feel like I just published a podcast episode last week, and of all my YouTube videos, that one's got significantly more views because the title was "Stop Starving," because there's so many people out there that are just chronically under eating, and that's like one of the biggest underlying issues.
Ugh.
And simply ramping that up is going to improve hormone function, metabolic rate, lifting performance, rest and recovery. I mean, like so many people's problems would be satisfied from that one shift right there.
Bowel movements. Like ladies come to me, I'm so constipated. I look at their logs and it's 800 calories a day. I'm like, well, you're not going to poo if you don't eat. Like there's nothing in there.
My 3-year-old son, not even 3 years old yet, he eats more calories than half of these women that I'm working with. So it's like, how does it make sense that my 35-pound 3-year-old son is eating more than you as a full-grown adult working 40 hours plus a week and training on a regular basis? Like that makes no sense.
Absolutely. And it's really this, even as a coach. So I've been training really hard for 2 years, and I've done all sorts of programs and everything. I just finished an epic endurance program where I was eating so much. And I got back from Patagonia having not tracked and not worked out. And I look in the mirror and I'm like, I actually have a 6-pack. I ate Skittles. Like I ate so much food. I can't even comprehend. Like, it's just, we have this, our minds are just broken. And that is the hardest thing to coach a woman through, is getting them to eat more and trust the process. It's so hard. And even 2 years into it, doing the refeeds and eating at max capacity and all of these things, still, I have days, even as a coach, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm eating so much. Right. No, I need this. Like, I'm lifting heavy. I'm doing these things. I need to eat that. But your mind can play tricks on you. And when that happens, you really need to go to basic truths. And that's why having a coach is really great when you get in your head about stuff.
And as a coach, it's a pretty hard sell. Like when somebody's coming to you wanting to lose weight, and you have to tell them, okay, look, you've been chronically under eating for the last 20 years. We're going to actually increase your food. You may increase your weight a little bit in the short term until we ramp up your metabolic rate. Like, nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear they got to eat more, they may gain weight. Like, that's a very hard sell as a coach.
It's like the hardest sell. And that's truly why, at least in my business, like, I just share what I'm doing, what's worked for me, because women that see me doing it personally, when I show what I'm doing, they're like, okay, like if she did it, like she knows what this is like. She knows what, how this feels. Like if she did it, I can do it. And, but it's hard. I know it's mentally hard, but it's the only way that it works. Like I can't.
And I mean, if you think about it, like if what they've done for the past 20 years or whatever
isn't working,
hasn't worked, and they've followed every diet in the books, they've counted every calorie, they've taken all the supplements. It's like, look, what do you have to lose? Even if you take the next 6 months and gain 10 pounds in the process, but that sets you up for the next 20 years of success, I'd say that's worthwhile. I
think it's because when we're so metabolically broken, the idea of gaining 5 pounds that can take us a year, 2 years to lose is like, I'm not willing to take that risk. Like ultimately and they're not seeing that I've been metabolically broken. The fact now that I can lose and gain 10 pounds like so easily now is unreal, because it in our minds, when we're metabolically broken, those 5 pounds that your coach is saying, you might gain some weight as we reverse diet and we incorporate more food. They're thinking like, but that's never going to come off. Like I can already not lose any weight, and you're telling me I need to gain more and then not be able to lose that. You're right. It's a very hard sell, but it works. If you trust the process, it works.
It does work. It
does work.
I think you had to reschedule the first time we were planning on recording this podcast because you were lifting and you had a lifting injury. So kudos to you for lifting on a regular basis. But how's your injury?
Thank you. So much better. So,
you broke your foot, right?
I busted my foot real good. Like I was in Azores hiking, and it was a flat. It was so flat, and immediately this was in September, and I felt this like snapping feeling in my ankle. And immediately it was the most pain that I can handle my pain, but this was next level. And I was like, okay, I'm sure it's just, whatever. I'll just keep hiking and I'll take some Tylenol, whatever. So I persevered through the next couple of days. I got home. I went to a physical therapist. He said it was fine, that I just had a little tendon issue and to just not put any load on it for a couple of days. This stretched like 6 months of. Some physical therapists were saying that it was a post-tib issue. Others were saying it's a flexor hallucis longus. Other people were saying plantar fasciitis. Like the physical therapist in South Florida, I never found a good one. I ended up hiring a physical therapist in Canada to help me. But the day that we were supposed to record, I was on one of my walking, because I was training to walk 120 miles in 7 days. Around a mountain with crazy inclines, crazy wind. And so my training program had a lot of walking in it. And we thought that we had a pretty good KT tape strategy and everything for the tendonitis that was happening. But the day that I had to cancel, that snapping feeling happened again. And I was like, I am days away from my trip. Like, this is a problem. So yeah, I have no idea how I was able to do this trek, because the night before I was planning to start this 120-mile trek, I went for a 15-minute walk around town and couldn't finish my walk because I was in so much pain. And I got back to my hotel and I put my hands on my foot and I was like, God, I really feel like you called me to do this. I need you to either give me the strength to persevere through this pain or take this pain away temporarily. And he did. Like, I had no pain the entire trek.
That's wild.
None.
So was this like a competition, or what was the...
No, it was like a psycho thing that so backtrack. When I go on a trip, I purposely connect with somebody and I get them to tell me their most favorite place that they've ever been. Like, where is the place? Like, if you could live anywhere, go back to this place, where would it be? So when I was in Spain, I was hiking the Sierra Nevada mountains and I connected with this guy from Saudi, and I felt like we had such a great connection. I was like, this is the guy. He's going to tell me where I'm going to go next. And so I'm like, where is your most favorite place that you've ever been that you wish you could go again or you wish you could do different? And he said, Torres del Paine, Trek. And I was like, what is this? And he told me all about it. Like, he told me what he would do differently, why he loved it. And I was like, that's the place. That's what I'm doing. So I got home, I booked the whole trip, not like fully understanding the physical commitment I was committing to. Because walking every day is fine, but walking every day in a row without a break for 10 days is like a very different training with a backpack on, like in the cold with limited food, is like a whole different game. And I didn't fully think through that, but it was very expensive and I had put all the money in. And so I was doing it. I was at least going to attempt to do it. And so the good physical therapist I found in Canada, she said, you're not going to do any physical long-term damage by trying this. You're just going to be in a lot of pain. And so I was like, okay, so we do it and we see what happens.
And you did it.
I did it, but I didn't have any pain. I had other pain. I got sick and like I had a crazy blister that like would not resolve. But I can handle that, as opposed to if you've had a post-tib pain, it is gnarly. But I learned a lot about KT tape through the
Walking
process.
in general is no joke. Like, I do a 50-mile march every year to raise money for vets. And like the first year I did it, I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a breeze. I walk every single day. This is no problem. Shoot, I'm a freaking bodybuilder. Like,
totally.
Way up. And then at the end of that 50 mile, because we do it in 22 hours to represent 22 vets that take their lives daily. So it was like through the night, nonstop, just 50 miles on the shoulder of a highway from Lincoln to Omaha, Nebraska. And by the end of that first run, I was literally on crutches for a week afterwards. Like I was in pain.
I think Jonathan does that with you. Jonathan Shane, he's like my bestie. Yeah, you guys are nuts. Like I have said this publicly multiple times. I will never do anything like this again because it is so hard.
It hurts.
It hurts.
But it's totally like physically, I mean, it hurts. I mean, you got blisters, like you freaking, I've seen people, it's weird. Like there was one woman walking in front of me that she had like these massive blisters just filled with fluid. I mean, it's just, you see some gnarly stuff, but like there's a point at which it's like, okay, my body's in pain. I recognize that it's reality.
Yeah.
But I can keep putting one step in front of the other. There's like a point where it's just 100% psychological.
Yes.
And it's like, once you cross that chasm, it's like you can just keep going, but it hurts the whole time.
Day 3. So day 1 overnight. So we show up at camp and get all set up, and stupidly I wore my sandals at night because I was just so tired of wearing my hiking boots. That was a mistake because my feet got cold and then they just couldn't recover. And I was in my tent trying to warm up my feet and I just couldn't. And I got so sick. I had a super high fever the next morning and I couldn't take the day off because I had the next booking in the next place. Like there's no days off. You keep going. And so I'm walking with a fever. On day 2, it wasn't too bad. I got a blister. It was fine. But by day 4 with a fever and I'm severely I have not eaten enough. I'm calculating my calories in my mind and I'm thinking like yesterday was a 4,000 calorie burn day. Just in walking, I'm totally screwed. I maybe had 2,000 calories. Like I am depleted. And in that moment, I just thought this could either be the most torturous time that I have ever had in my entire life, or I have to choose to completely ignore the fact that I'm sick, this crazy blister that will not recover, and I'm starving. I need to put that in a container and just put it away. It doesn't exist. And it just, I don't know, something clicked. And I just didn't think about it. And then I had the best time. So
when you signed up for this, were you going to like experience all the scenic glory and relax? Or were you like, okay, this is going to be physically challenging and I have to prove to myself that I can do it?
Honestly, I didn't really think about it. I think in my mind, I was thinking, this is going to be so beautiful. It's going to be like my day hikes that I do. Like, I just thought I can hike every day. Like I just hiked Azores for 30 days. I can do this, but there were breaks in it. If I didn't feel like going for a hike, I didn't have to. And I went back to my Airbnb and slept in a bed and had food and packed my lunch, but this was not that. And I think as I got closer to the my brother took over my training because he looked at my program and he's like, you're bodybuilding. You're not going to be ready for this. So he took it over. He's an Olympian coach and incredible. So he basically trained me like an Olympian. And that's when I started thinking like, this program is intense. If he thinks that I need this, like, what am I in for? And that's when I started to think like, maybe I should have thought this through, but I had put a lot of money down and just thought, I'm going to try it. Like,
and do you have like a guide with you? Like you weren't alone, right?
Yeah, I did a guide for Azores. I did by myself and I regretted that because it was very stressful. And like there were multiple times where I didn't know where the trail was. And I just didn't want that for a whole time. So I did it with a guide and a group of 7 other people, which had its positives and negatives. Like you really get close to those people. But I didn't get the solo time. Like when you asked me what my favorite part of my latest travels were, and I said Azores because I got the solo time. I didn't get that. But I think God knew because with everything going on, I think I would have totally broke without people around me.
Yeah. I watched a movie last night. I don't typically watch movies, but I watched one with my kid. It was about this guy that his goal was to set out and hike the Appalachian Trail, which I think was like 2,118 miles or something crazy like that. And I was watching, I'm like, man, that is cool. I could totally see myself doing that. But like something like that just has this wow factor that you to be a little scared, a little excited all at the same time. Like people need that in their life.
Yeah. And I mean, the detox that I felt, like there was there were places that had no power, no running water, and I didn't have my phone the whole time. And I don't remember the last time, because Starlink totally changed stuff on the boat. And oftentimes we would have our phones. But it's a very special experience when you're just not connected and you're thinking of like the primal things. Like when I wake up, it's where am I going to get water? How much food do I need? And how much walking do I do today? And then when you get to camp, it's I need to set up my tent or I need to set up my area that I'll be sleeping in. Where do I get food and how do I get water? It's like the most basic things. And if I could do that if I could do it again, but have breaks in between, like walk for 2 days and then take a day off and enjoy the area and then walk for 3 days and I would totally do it. But I think it's the back to back that's what you're training for. You're training for the everyday go, 10 to 12 hours a day, uphill, crazy Patagonia wind. It's grueling. It's tough.
But once you do it, like once you accomplish something that you like, when you're going through something where there's a moment where you're like doubting yourself, like, man, I don't think I can do this. I'm thinking about this doesn't make any sense. But then you actually do it. When that's over, like you've just leveled up in life. Like, to a greater degree what your capacity is.
Yeah. When we saw base camp, truly leading up to the trip, because of my injury, I was in a lot of pain and I really didn't think that I was going to be able to complete it. And even throughout, like for the first 5 days of it, I was like, I don't know. At any moment, my foot could flare up like crazy. And this is it for me. When I saw base camp and we were like 2 hours away from being back at the place we started, I just cried. And it wasn't even like satisfaction over like, yay, me, I did this. I was so thankful that I persevered and that God gave me the opportunity to do it without pain because he didn't need to do that. Like it could have been terrible and it wasn't. And so I think these sorts of experiences and these physical challenges that I seem to get into without realizing, and I commit to things, oftentimes bring me closer to God, like in a lot of ways, because I just see his faithfulness. And when I commit to things, I see it through, but it's not through my own strength. And it's even hard too, being a public person when you're sharing this. Leading up to it, and I was talking about my pain, a lot of people were saying, this is a sign you shouldn't go. You're being protected from something. Do not go. And I was like, absolutely not. Like there's a difference. If professionals in my life, my chiropractor, massage therapist, physical therapist was saying, don't go, this is stupid. You physically cannot do this. If my coach was like, you're not ready, this is going to be bad, I wouldn't have gone. That would be reckless. That would be dumb. But everyone was saying, it's going to be painful, but you're not going to do permanent damage. You can do this. Why wouldn't I go? Why wouldn't I try? What's the worst thing that can happen if you try and you absolutely fail? So you couldn't do it, but I can't. Life's too short to.
I think having the gnawing sensation of regret, having not tried, would be far more painful than the acute physical pain of each step you took. Absolutely.
Without a doubt. Absolutely.
So you've referenced God quite a few times. Were you always religious, spiritual person, or?
I was not. That's a whole other journey, my friend.
When did that start?
So I grew up in a more like Catholic household. Like we went to church for Easter and Christmas, but it was never really a big part of our lives. We grew up more New Age, like yoga and meditation and drumming circles and those sorts of things. And so I thought that the two could kind of coexist and you just like find what works and kind of roll with it. I got really, really, really into the New Age. Our marriage was not good. Kevin and I were really, really struggling. And the further I got into New Age practices and divine feminine work and just crystals and
New Age, like what would that be defined as?
Yeah, so I was doing a lot of yoga, meditation, channeling spirits,
like Eastern
Reiki,
spirituality.
Yeah, like the now as a Christian, I see it as being demonic. I mean, it nearly ruined my marriage. It nearly ruined my life. It got me back into drugs. I had been clean for over a decade. It got really dark and terrible. And I was sharing a lot of this online, this stuff that I was doing, and so many people prayed for me.
Well, it's interesting because it seems like that's also, we talk about hormones being the hot thing right now. It seems like that's also the hot thing. Like
That's the hot
that's
thing.
like within the biohacking sphere, it seems.
Yeah. It's
So I don't know.
terrifying. It's yeah, and and I think it's Galatians says that Satan masks himself as an angel of light, and that is what that is. And I I would have calls with clients at the time, and I would open myself up to spiritual entities, and I would say, like, use my body, use me as you will, and, give us information about this person. And I do think that I had all sorts of spiritual stuff happening on the inside. Like, it was a really, really, really dark time. And that was like end of 2019, beginning of 2020. I really wrecked my business at that point. Like, I was a mess. I was a total mess. And a reader recommended a book to me, You're Not Enough and That's Okay by Allie Beth Stuckey. And I thought it was a self-help book. It was not. It was a Christian book. And in that book, she shared the gospel in many different ways, really pointing to the lie that we're enough. Like, you can love yourself and you're enough and you have to accept yourself, and just that whole dialogue that we saw a lot in the body positivity space a couple years ago. And she spoke to that so well, using the gospel and talking about Jesus and how he died for our sins. And I felt so offended by her words, but I kept reading. And you can even go on Amazon and look for Leanne's review on Allie Beth Stuckey's book. And it says, I hate this book. It's terrible, but I kept reading it. Like, that was the Holy Spirit starting to do something in me. And when I finished that book, I bought an ESV study Bible because for some reason I was like, I want to read the Bible. And I remember thinking, like, what? Like, and I told my husband, I'm like, I think I want to read the Bible. And he's like, okay, like, do your thing, whatever. So I bought a Bible after I figured out where you get Bibles, because I didn't know. I thought you had to, like, go to a church to get a Bible. Apparently you can get them on Amazon. So that was great and very convenient. So I get an ESV study Bible, and I went on Instagram, and this is how I met Jonathan Shane. I go on Instagram and I'm like, there's something happening to me. I read this book and now I want to read the Bible. And I'm disgusted by this, because why would I want to read the Bible? It's misogynistic and it talks about raping and pillaging, and, like, I don't want anything to do with this religion stuff. And Jonathan reached out to me and he said, I've been a longtime follower. If you ever need anything, here's my number. Just call me. And I responded and said, do you have time right now? Can I call you right now? And so he presented the gospel to me again in, like, a very personal way. And I believed it.
That's awesome.
I believed it. I believed that Jesus died for my sins. I believed it. And I saw my sins so clearly. I was like, I see it. Like, I have been looking for love in all the wrong places. I've been trying to fulfill myself with all this feminine trash, like just feminine energy, and balancing my chakras and meditating and, mantras for 108 mantras 3 times, and just rise, pee, and meditate, and all this stuff that was just so heavy and such a burden. And I saw all of it as just seeking the holy God that I was not seeking in the right place. And I repented of my sin in that moment, and I became a Christian. And that was September 13th, 2020.
What's crazy is I remember Jonathan, you and I had recorded our podcast together quite a bit before that. So I hadn't talked to you in years, but I've been in touch with Jonathan, quite a bit. And he reached out to me shortly after he had talked to you to tell me how happy he was for you. And I'm like, man, that's crazy. Jonathan's like a super good guy. Like he's like got a
Oh,
genuinely good heart, you know?
and he showed me so early on how to care for people as a Christian. And I've been able to use that template. Like we talk every week. Like he and I, like I care for him so deeply, and he has shown me, modeled so well, how to love other people well and how to share the gospel, not in a preachy fire and brimstone kind of way, but really meeting people where they are. And I have been able to use that as a template to connect with people that have been saved. Like, so, and be that spiritual guidance for them. Like, it just blows my mind. Like, it still today, I think, have I drank the Kool-Aid? Like, I'm saying I'm a Christian and I believe that Jesus actually lived and died and like he's in heaven. Like, have I drank the Kool-Aid? And the coolest thing about Christianity is that it's actually true. Like, this actually happened, and you can look as deep as you want and become as intricate into the details as possible, and you come up winning every time. And so the doubts that you have can always be met with truth. And it's great.
Well, it's crazy because I was not brought up in a church setting at all. I mean, my dad's an evolutionary biologist. Like I grew up talking about evolution at the dinner table.
Wow.
Not Jesus, you know? So like I didn't really know where I stood on faith. I didn't really have a stance one way or the other. And then I had an employee probably about 4 or 5 years ago now, Brandon Clark, amazing guy. And he was just super confident and firm in his faith. And I'm like, man, how do you get so confident about this thing? Like, I don't get it. Like, I'm very analytical. I'm very scientific, very black and white. Like, I need hard evidence here. And he started, talking to me about apologetics, which is like looking at the history and philosophy and reasoning. And I'm like, okay, I can get behind that much more. Like, that's actually, reasonable. Like, it's philosophical. Like, I can go into the evidence here, the history.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like my opening door to it all. And I've just been studying everything ever since. And it's weird because like I don't have the historical upbringing as most people. Like my wife is incredibly, like, she was just raised that way. I'm like, okay, if we're gonna be married, we're gonna have kids, we need to be sure that we're on the same page with things. So we're not sending conflicting messages to our kids. So that was another motivating factor for me to kind of figure out where I stood on things. But then as I just dove deeper and deeper into the historical evidence and just the apologetics, like everything just made more sense. And then I look at, because I don't want to be like this fire and brimstone, breathe down people's neck, because that rubs me the wrong way. Like I don't like it, it just turns me off. But I start observing people, and it's like all this new age stuff, all this, biohacking stuff where it's all about, your energy and chakras. And that never really resonated with me either. Like that to me always just seemed like this superficial cloak that people would wear to like give themselves, short-term confidence and things. And it just never really sat well with me either. But like the people that I look at that seem to be the best parents to their kids, seem to be the best, contributors to society, that seem to be like legitimately the happiest and most fulfilled individuals that I know, are people that are like firm in their faith and just believe in their marrow of their being, and it's like, okay, there must be something behind all that.
Absolutely. My husband was the same way. Like I was saying, our marriage was not in a good place. And I started talking about Jesus with him. And he was like, I don't know, it seems like really frou-frou. And how he got saved was the zeros and ones, like the facts. And that's what I love about our relationship now is when I have doubt, he always has an answer. He always has the facts. And he's like, okay, let's go back to history and go through this. And yeah.
I get the podcast.
Yeah. He's fun to talk to. But that's so great. Yeah. The cool thing is that God made us all so unique, and our way to the Lord is all different. Like everyone has a different testimony and how, like what struck them, and then how they get to know the Lord is different. Like through reading the Bible, we all pick up different things. Like, oh, did you see this way? And did you know that this connects to this? And so it's just got a depth that's there's no end to the depth. And that's what I love so much, that it just keeps on giving. Like every time I read through the Bible, I'm like, I've read it 7 times, but I swear I didn't read this before. So it keeps on giving.
Yeah, I feel like you got to have an open mind and be willing to like put your pride aside, put your ego aside, and just like learn.
Yeah.
Because like before I read the Bible, I was just like, again, kind of looking back at my upbringing, it's like, okay, there's a whole lot of, contradictory information in there. Everybody, they're superficial, like none of it's true. And then I like read it with a very unbiased, just open approach. And it's like, these are all just really good words to live by. Like, be kind to one another, work hard, be honest, have integrity. Like, everybody would benefit from these things. And then, like, I've read it, I think I'm going 3rd time now. And, like, you pick up something new every single time. I like reading the Stoic works, too. Like, Ryan Holiday's put out all kinds of stuff on Marcus Aurelius. Like, I like reading stuff like that. Like, these are just concepts that anybody with a head on their shoulders would benefit from. So you got to have that receptiveness to it going in.
The receptiveness is so important. And also knowing that these are stories about sinful people who followed God. Like, David was not perfect. Like, Saul was not perfect. He became Paul. Like, these are stories about broken people. And I had always thought the opposite. Like, why is there a book about all these bad things that are happening? And it just shows the brokenness of our world, and the need for God. So, yeah, I mean, it's truly my favorite book.
Yeah.
It's the only book I took with me on my trip.
Yeah. Have you read any books that kind of go into the historical evidence, the apologetics, just the reasoning, the philosophy in a way that would appeal to those that are analytical in nature, that are coming at it from like a nutritional background, scientific background, just like more evidence-based stuff?
A Case for Christ.
Okay, I've read that one.
So good.
How does it go?
Oh, man. A Case for Christ, A Case for the Creator. I don't have enough faith to be an atheist.
Who was that one by? That was same author?
I feel like
I think that's on my Audible list. Shoot. What is it?
by Frank Turek and Norman Geisler.
Yeah. They were doing a lot of the apologetics content that my employee had me watching. Yeah, it's interesting stuff. And I feel like all of this, in social media and podcasting, it's like people think it's dangerous to talk about these things. And like I recently rebranded my podcast to The Savage Perspective because I didn't want to be bound by just talking about nutrition and, fitness performance. It's like all of these things intertwine to make us who we are.
Absolutely.
And you have to like give it the attention to. A lot of people just like want to, put their hand out, cover their eyes, and like not ask these hard questions. But like growth comes from the hard questions,
Oh, yes, it does. Like, I mean, I have grown more as a Christian, challenging my thoughts, and like, I think it's challenged me to remain open to ideas, knowing that like I finally know what truth is. And it's when you find truth, like, 2020 was a crazy time. There was so much happening. And I think that's what forced me, when all that stuff was happening, it was like, our world is not what we think it is. And when you find that truth, and then you understand that truth really drives so much of what we do, how we think, where we go. And I have grown more in the last 5 years as a Christian than I probably have in my entire life, of pushing myself and persevering through things and challenging, knowing that I'm not alone in this. And also like all of this is his sovereign design over my life. And that just creates, I'm way more unstoppable. Like, I'm like, let's go, let's do it. Let's go. What's the worst thing that can happen? Like, so I think that it's created a far more resilient human being.
And I feel like to your point on truth, like we've stepped so far away from truth because we've liked we've drawn towards defining truth as whatever that is for that individual. Like we have this And I do believe that, the hardest thing we've ever done is the hardest thing you've ever done. Like our perspective is our reality. Like I agree with that. But I feel like this total complete lack of truth as society sees it has led to this, detriment towards society. And like there's no common ground, no foundational elements that we can all agree upon and hold strong to. And I feel like we need to return to some degree of that for sure.
Well, yeah, it's like water is wet, sugar is sweet. Like that's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
like I don't know what to tell you. The sky looks blue, clouds are white, clouds have rain. Like these are basic facts of life, So I think I agree with you. And 2020 was that just chaos, like finding your truth, and this is truth and that. And it's like, what is truth? When you start asking what is truth, you find Jesus.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
100%. Well, we didn't talk about keto molecules or metabolic flexibility much on this podcast, but I think we're covering some good stuff.
Yeah, well, that's it
goes deeper. It goes deeper.
It always does.
Well, Leanne, what's the next big adventure for you to kind of close out here?
My next big adventure. Well, my sister's getting married this year, and so I'm going to be the maid of honor, and I have so many things to do this wedding. So we're hosting a bachelorette party in Orlando, and we're going to Victoria for the wedding. So that's like my thing this year. I'm toying around with. I haven't decided yet. I'm still praying on it. About buying a truck and putting a trailer on it, like a little camper, something that I can manage myself.
What camper are you looking at? This is
Scout.
Scout. Okay. What size?
Like small, like a little camper van. It's like it just fits on the bed of the truck. But my husband says, no, you should go with a van. And I'm like, a van ain't cool like a truck. Like I could get an F-350 and like, really show up. So
yeah, I've been looking at the same thing because I'm yeah, 100%. Because I'm traveling so much, and like when I do my competitions, I'm traveling nonstop, and like I've got a dog, a big dog, another kid on the way, my wife. It's like we just need to have our own self-contained unit so that anywhere we go, y'all have space. I can stay on top of my work stuff, and just we're like totally self-sufficient. So like, and that is a totally justifiable thing. It's just a matter of when and which brand, but. Yeah, they're pretty slick. They're pretty cool.
Oh, they're so cool. Scout looks really, really cool. And we've also been talking to GeoTrek vans who make like really good conversions of Sprinter 144s. But it's like then you have another vehicle and it's a whole thing. But the camper, like on the back of the truck, then you have to take it on and off. And so it's just, you got to balance like.
There's no perfect setup. And like this one thing I've definitely, it's the same thing with like tractors and side-by-sides. It's the same thing with everything. It's like, you have to have like a different one for each use case scenario almost to really optimize for it. So like what is the majority of time going to be spent doing and just optimize for that, I guess.
Yeah. And so my husband being very zeros and ones, him saying a van, it's probably a van. And because, where is it? Genesis 3 says that my desires will always be against my husband, that I will just choose the opposite one.
Probably. I have to send you a picture of our rig. We've got this 1999 Freightliner ambulance. It's freaking huge. It's got air brakes, 3,000 more pounds. I have to get a CDL to drive it, but it's been converted. I got solar panels on top. Like it's a savage looking rig for sure. I'll have to send you a picture.
So this is like a class. Would it be considered like a class C? Like
I don't even know all the different classes.
Okay.
I don't know all the jargon, but it's basically it. I'll just have to send you a picture. My buddy,
please.
I bought it from my buddy. He had it at like the first KetoCon, but it's like all blacked out. And the solar panels aren't hooked up. I'm going to get those fixed up, but I'm going to basically turn it into my creme de la creme hunting rig. So anytime I'm going out west to go hunting, I've got like my gun cases in there. I've got room for ice chests. Like I've got everything I need to be like totally self-sufficient out in the woods.
You need to check out EcoFlow. They have these units that are like modular, and it has your inverter, your power, like your battery bank and everything all in one unit. And you don't need to run any cables or anything. It is blowing my mind right now. EcoFlow.
All right.
So
I will
cool.
check that out, and we'll keep this conversation going because this could be like another 3 hour podcast.
Seriously. I really love talking about that stuff.
I love it. I love it. Well, Leanne, where do people go to find out more about you if they don't already know?
Yeah, so you can go to Instagram, Leanne Vogel. That's Vogel. My website is Healthful Pursuit, and my podcast is Healthful Pursuit as well.
Awesome. Well, I'll link out, make it easy for people to find you. Keep killing it. Keep me posted on the next travel plans. I'm sure we'll just have to reconvene and hike the Appalachian Trail together or something.
Oh my goodness.
Until then, though, Leanne, you keep killing it. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.